Excellent. So, Kate, welcome to the Disenfranchised. How are you doing today?
I'm really good, Ed. Really good. Yes, you?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you very much. And it's really nice to see you in person. Well, over Zoom anyway, and with your smile. I see it all over the place on LinkedIn. So it's nice to see it in real life, you know?
Somebody said to me the other day that's your trademark, Kate. I was like, well, I'm going to take that as a compliment. Let's use that. That's definitely a good thing.
Excellent. Well, look, let's get straight into it. And I want to find out what your first job was.
Okay, so my very, very, very first job was work experience, really, I suppose, back in the day. So I was about 16 and I did a work experience shadowing the PA of the BBC celebrity Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen. Do you know who I mean? The guy
Yeah,
from
yeah, I remember.
So he lived relatively close to us and I found him in the yellow pages of all things. I didn't want to do a very boring work experience. So I found Llewellyn-Bowen Limited in the yellow pages and thought, well, how hard can that be to get a job there for 2 weeks? Let's do that. So yeah, they gave me a job shadowing his PA for 2 weeks and it was just so much fun, like so varied, so exciting. One day we were in a beautiful, apartment block in the middle of London and it overlooked the whole of London. And then one day we were, driving around the country doing Bob the Builder promotional shoots and stuff. So there was so many things. So yeah, it was a really, really good 2 weeks for sure.
Awesome. So at the time, was he famous or, I mean, what?
Yeah, he was at the height of his fame then. So still doing changing rooms, still sort of doing a lot of presenting and stuff on, I think it was mostly the BBC because he had a contract with the BBC. So yeah, he was very famous back then and he had this, I don't even know what it was. I wasn't paying that much attention because I was only 16, but some sort of PR thing with Bob the Builder. So they were doing lots of work together and he had a book out and all sorts of things. So yeah, it was really exciting. Really, there were never 2 days the same at all. So yeah, that's what got me into the PA world.
Awesome. So that's kind of what you set out to do, is to be a PA from that kind of those early days, or was that just kind of
no, not at all. No, not at all. No, so when I was doing my GCSEs, I was really thought I wanted to go down the creative route. And so, was trying to get a job doing something creative. So because he was an interior design company, I was like, right, that's sort of down my, sort of career path. So it was sort of business and creativity together. So that's what I wanted to do. And then after I, done this crazy work experience, I went off to art college, which was an experience in itself. And then to university to do a degree in marketing, which was sort of creative and business together. So I think I'd made the decision quite early on that I wanted to run my own business, but I didn't know what in, and I had this passion for marketing and creativity. So I sort of ended up on that path by accident to some degree, but also, it was where my heart line, was at the beginning. So
yeah, what a cool first job to take on though. Like, do you still keep in touch with him now?
Oh gosh, no. Far too busy and important for little likes of me, I'm sure. No. I just didn't want to do the mundane. All of my school friends were doing something really normal, getting work experience with their dads and their mums and just in offices and stuff. And I did do a very normal work experience in a leisure centre. And I was just like, this is not for me. I need way more excitement in my life than this. So yeah, I just decided to do something a little bit weird, which all of my teachers at the time were like, that's really weird, Kate, why would you just contact someone out of the yellow pages? And I was like, well, because I wanted to work with them. So there wasn't Google back then, so you had to be more resourceful. So I was.
That's awesome. I mean, my work experience, I've not thought about it for a long time, so thank you, because it was one of the most boring things I ever did. It was working for a company called London Processing Centre Limited, and literally they just process documents. So my work experience was just checking that a piece of paper had something on there. I don't even know what it was doing, and just stamp it. Next one, stamp it, and that was it. 2 weeks of that. The excitement was actually going into the mail room. I got to do that for one day. I was like, wow, this is great.
I remember talking to my friends about work experience like that. That was their experience. We had one day that was exciting. And I think, looking back on it now, even then, I realised that I didn't want my world of work to be like that. I wanted my work to be a big reflection on who I was, and you know, I didn't want it to be boring. Who wants a boring life? I just didn't want that at all. So yeah, I think, I mean, my parents had done a pretty good job of explaining that work was going to be a massive part of your life. I think I understood pretty quickly that it needed to be something I was going to enjoy as well. So creativity seemed the way forward. So BBC celebrities, why not, eh?
Well, I think, well, I feel quite envious you were able to realize that quite early on in life, really, because a lot of people kind of just drift into things and don't really know what they want to do. So at least you had some ideas of what made you tick, you know, so that's good. So what did you fall into then, or what did you find after education?
So, well, before education, during education, I found that I bloody hated it.
Okay.
Every second of education, and that sort of establishment was not for me at all. It stifled every single bit of me and made me a very miserable human being. So after that, I decided that I wanted to, when I was coming out of university, we were told that we had to go get another work placement. So again, I was in that situation where, you know, go and find a work placement that you're really going to enjoy rather than really not like doing at all. So I found a small advertising agency that I just kind of knew I was going to be able to do everything from make the tea to, you know, actually understand what was going on. So yeah, I got a work placement with them, and then fell into a job with them completely by accident, a full-time job afterwards. So that's where I found myself after education, really, working in a small advertising agency, you know, really small team. But because it was a small team, I was able to have visibility of most things and learn quite a lot about businesses and how they run and how to manage clients and things. That was probably the biggest sort of learning curve in my early career about how to manage clients and expectations and demands and all of those things whilst doing a job really well. So yeah, that's where I ended up after uni. It was,
that's pretty cool. So was it what you thought it was going to be, you know, from
no. No, I think I can't remember when the film Devil Wears Prada came out, but that's kind of, you know, what everybody thinks of as the advertising industry. You know, there's some big head office person and they sit in a glass walled office and make all the decisions, and everybody runs around looking very glamorous, and that's really not what it's like in a real advertising agency. It's not like that at all. Yeah, it was such a good experience because I got to learn so much. But yeah, it wasn't what I expected it to be, which was calm and creative, I suppose, in a way. That's what I wanted it to be. You know, from my time at university, that's what they told us that advertising agencies were like, and small advertising agencies were not like that at all. Not at all.
No, cool. So where did you go from there?
I got made redundant in that job, which is a very long story. Yeah, very weird scenario, but I got made redundant essentially. And pretty much within a couple of days, I decided that I was never going to be at that point again in my life where I was so carefree, essentially. So I was in my early 20s, didn't have a job. I had a mortgage to pay, but I could rent out my flat. So I took myself off to Australia and I travelled around in a camper van with the Beatles painted down the side.
Oh, wow.
And did some really weird jobs. I mean, talk about career path. I did some very strange jobs in Australia, from wine waitressing. I don't know the first thing about wine other than how to drink it. And selling MOTs door to door. I don't know the first thing about cars other than how to drive them. Some really weird jobs. But that's the thing you do when you're travelling. You know, you let yourself go a bit, and you don't worry about the career path as such. You're just trying to make money, aren't you? So yeah, Australia was an interesting time, but then I came back, and the reality hits, doesn't it? And I had the mortgage to pay again then, because the house share people had moved out and stuff. So I just took jobs temping, and I ended up temping for Toys R Us. Do you remember them? Big
vividly. Yeah, it was the best place to go when you were a kid. Like,
exactly. Well, I got to do that as an adult with nobody else. So I was temping as a store fit coordinator. So I got to travel around the country with a group of lads, essentially putting all the signage up in the stores and organising the store layout and things. And it was really good fun, really, really good fun when you're in your early 20s and not married and you don't have any commitments. You could just travel around in a van and, look a little bit like Bob the Builder. There's a theme here, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
A little tool belt. That was really good fun. I had to wear steel toe cap boots to work. It was crazy. But yeah, that was, it taught me a lot about project management and managing teams and people and things. So yeah, did that for a while, and then got made permanent in that temp role.
That's quite a high pressure role, though, isn't it? Really, you kind of glazed over it fairly quickly, but I know from recruiting in that industry for a little bit that actually it's really fast paced and.
Yeah. Oh, it's fast paced. Yeah, the deadlines was something else. You know, when Toys R Us said, you know, we've had a signage disaster, or we've had a water leak or whatever, and then, you know, 15 signs have just got damaged and you've got to produce them by tomorrow morning. Yeah, you know, it's tough. It's really tough. But yeah, I don't really remember the pressure because so many things have happened since then, I suppose. But yeah, it was fast paced, and some of it was enjoyable. Some of it was really enjoyable. I learned a lot about people in that job. We had some really lovely managers there, and some really great people in the creative team within the business that I was working in to create the signage and the stuff for Toys R Us. So yeah, it was a big learning curve. But then again, I was still quite young then, so I didn't really take it as a massive opportunity and think, oh, this is where I want to be in 10 years' time. I really did know it was a stepping stone. So I did give it my all, but I probably didn't give it everything I could have done if I was doing it now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
The next role is where I gave it everything and was just like, oh my God, this is not for me. So I went on to still do in-store signage essentially and promotional products for companies, but moved to a much bigger printing company to do that. So my client remit was pretty much Procter & Gamble. So all of their big brands, Pantene and Pampers and all of those big brands, household name brands, I was, responsible for creating all of their printed materials, from leaflets right through to, the things that you see at the end of shopping aisles that, dish out little things. So yeah, that was high pressured. That was definitely high pressured because the brand managers at Procter & Gamble don't really understand the word no, or it can't be done in 2 hours or any of those things. So that was intense for sure. Very intense. So,
I can imagine. And you said there that you found out that perhaps it wasn't for you, that kind of world and that kind of role. So what kind of happened? What kind of broke the camel's back, so to speak?
Well, it's hard to say in case anybody's listening, isn't it? But so the team were lovely, but it was very much a very, very established team. They'd all been in the print industry for 20 years and stuff. So it was very hard to say, should we try doing something differently? But you couldn't say that. And I now live in a world where I change things daily. So you can imagine the difference between then and now in my head is quite different. So, and I was responsible for client services, essentially. Like that was my role with my clients. I was meant to be the client, interface. To some degree, there was a big brand manager person next to me too, but he was doing on the road stuff, so I was doing the in-office stuff. And we had this. I'll tell you this one story. So we were printing Max Factor mascara trays. You may not know what I mean, but in Boots and things, you get these beautiful trays that hold your mascaras, and you pull them out, and you buy your mascara. And they were meant to be printed in a certain colour of black. Now, Ed, you may not believe me when I say there is more than one version.
Yeah, no, I do. I know.
But there is. Okay, there really is. Particularly when you're working on a brand like Max Factor, there is more than one colour of black. And we'd reprinted these trays 3 or 4 times in order to get the black right. And we were literally hemorrhaging money. We were not going to make any money on this job because we couldn't get the printing right and all sorts of other things were going wrong. And I remember going into the ops manager's or the ops director's office just going, why can't we get these bloody trays right? What am I doing wrong? What are we doing wrong? What's the client doing wrong? What's going on? And the ops manager was just like, okay, I don't know. And, he was so just downtrodden by trying to get to the best, trying to achieve the best outcome. And I walked out of the office and I was like, I don't think this is for me. I need to make a difference and really feel I make a difference to smaller companies because this feels like it's just too big. And I remember thinking, I got to get out. And then very soon after that, and my husband came home from work and said, I've met this amazing woman. You're going to love her. And I was like, oh,
hang on.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. But he said, no, I've met this amazing woman called Sarah. She runs a company called The Passionate PA. And that's where you need to be, Kate. You need to meet her. So I did meet her, and she showed me this freelance PA world. And as much as I wasn't a PA in that role, I was leaving, I got the concept of you just becoming a person that somebody else relies on to get stuff done, essentially. So yeah, I completely fell in love with her, completely fell in love with the business, and decided I was going to jump off my career ladder and go and test this freelance PA thing. How hard can it be, right? So
Yeah,
I was
sure.
like, let's do that. My husband was very supportive. Sarah was wonderful. So yeah, I was still young enough. I remember saying to my friends and family, I'm still young enough to get back on the career ladder if I need to. And that's probably, one of the things that people really worry about when they, leave employment is, how the hell do you get back into employment if you leave for a year or something? So I know that fear really, really well.
Yeah.
But, it worked out all right, as fate would have it. So
sure. And when did you do this? I think looking kind of at your LinkedIn profile, it was around 2009 or 2010, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2010 was, so soon after joining the Passionate PA, or saying I was going to join the Passionate PA, Sarah actually got diagnosed with breast cancer, and that was at the Christmas, so that was Christmas 2009, I think. And then very sadly, that didn't go well, and she passed away in the March. So yeah, 2010 I was pretty much freelance, holding this amazing business that she'd left to me because she'd decided that she wanted it to carry on, but obviously didn't want to just leave it to anybody. I was already in the business, so she was really happy to leave it with me. And yeah, it was a really strange time, Ed, to be honest, really strange. Looking back now, I have no idea how I got through it, because we were newly married to some degree, all the pressures of that, and trying to build a life together and finding a mortgage and all of those things, and me trying to run a business and following in Sarah's footsteps, and she was amazing. It was all just so difficult. Talk about imposter syndrome was just doesn't even cut it. It really doesn't.
So how did you join Sarah in the first instance? Were you an employee for her, or were you?
No, I was a fellow freelancer. So her background was very much the traditional PA side of things. And she wanted a fellow freelancer to come in and have a different skill set, so could be offering clients sort of the opposite of what she was offering them. But as a team, we would be, able to do everything. Yeah. So yeah, I was just a freelancer essentially, and was tasked with going to find my own clients and things, and finding my own feet. But it was so early on in our journey together that when she sadly passed away, I was like, never mind finding my own feet, I've got no idea how to be a PA. And that's what it says on the tin, the Passionate PA. I hadn't done that for the best part of 5 years by that point. So yeah, there were so many things that were really, really tricky to navigate in that early phase of the Passionate PA.
Yeah, I can imagine it's probably quite emotional really at that time for you, because you found this person who's going to lead you to glory in some ways. And
I thought we were going to have a lot of fun. I mean, I remember saying, and I've got a diary entry that I always, go back to when I'm feeling sad and want that connection with Sarah, is that I've met this amazing woman, and she is the best teacher I've ever met in my life. And she was somebody that I aspired to be like. So it was very, very, as much as I didn't know her as well as really good friends and her family, because we were just business associates, essentially, I felt like I'd lost, part of my hope for the future, which is a really weird scenario to be in. And the sense of responsibility to have to then run with her business, and it did feel like her business for a really, really long time, that was a little bit overwhelming. I mean, it was overwhelming. My friends and family were like, Kate, just give it up. This lady's business is, her business, and she's gone, so don't worry about it. And I was like, no, I can't possibly do that. The sense of responsibility she, gave me, and the gift she gave me of an established brand, an established client network. I mean, that is astonishing. People don't normally walk into the, freelance world with that under their belt. So I had to run with it, but I had to learn how to make it my own. And that was a really huge chapter of my life.
And I know from personal experience that just handing over a client to somebody else doesn't always work, because that client is brought into that individual and knows the way they work. And it works as soon as there's an interruption in that pattern. Yeah, things don't start to work as well. I've seen it many times before. So
yeah, and as I've said, Sarah was an incredible client manager, because that's essentially what she was great at doing, and that's why we hit it off so well, is because all of my background had taught me to do that. And so we were good together at managing clients. But you're absolutely right, each of the clients had a very personal connection with her, and it was very, very difficult to make up for that, is because they were suffering a loss as well. They were grieving for her as a human being, but grieving her out of their business because she was an important part of their business. And then little old me with a completely different set of skills came along and went, well, I'll do it, but I don't know how to do what she was doing. So, oh God, help me. It was a really tough time. But I have to say, every single one of them were amazing. We had clients that carried on paying for her work, even though I wasn't able to deliver it for like 6 months, because they just felt so connected to her and to the business and stuff. And those people are still our clients today. We have gone on and actually serviced them now. They're not just paying for nothing anymore. But some of them are still with us today, and that's like 11 years later. They don't even have me as a passionate PA anymore. They have a different passionate PA, and that speaks volumes for the sorts of clients that Sarah was able to find and connect with in the first place. So yeah, but
it also shows that the same passion and values run throughout the whole network, the whole business, really, doesn't it? Because that's a big part of what they brought into in an individual. So you've done well to carry it on. But that leads me on to a question about the name, the Passionate PA. Do you know how and why it came about to have that name as a business?
Well, she was a PA and incredibly passionate about life and business. And I think it probably came to her over a glass of wine or two. I mean, let's be honest. She did like a little... She won't, she would never stop me saying that. No, I think, she had some really good business contacts at the time. And there was a lovely guy called Darren from a brand agency called Global down in Bournemouth, who I think she was very close to. And I think the name was created by them. He did the first artwork and stuff for her. And that artwork is still with us today in some sense. It's not as it was 10 years ago, but it is, you can see the correlation between them for sure, because I think it's very important that we honour that. And the Passionate PA is a memorable name. People tell me they get it immediately if they understand what a PA does. If they don't understand what a PA does, Ed, if they're like, oh, PAs answer the phone and move emails about, don't they? Then you're never going to understand what we do as a business. But if you've actually had an awesome PA in your business, or you've known somebody who is an awesome PA and you understand how resourceful and resilient and creative they are, then the words Passionate PA together, normally people get it straight away. Normally they do. We have a few obviously that go, oh, that's lovely, do you answer the phones all day? And I'm like, well, we can, but it's going to cost you. Not the sort of work we do, and we're not set up for that, essentially. So just in case one of those people are listening, let's educate them. What are the kind of tasks that you're doing for your clients? Sure. Okay. So us as a business, we all offer a set of services. So all the franchisees offer a set of services that include very specific administration tasks. So they would be things that are getting a business ready to be more automated or more processed. We do all sorts of organisation and restructure sort of work. We do event management, loads of event management, even virtual stuff that started coming back. Yeah. So that's all good. We do concierge and travel planning, so all the things that you would expect a traditional PA to do. And then we also, the people that I recruit into the business come with an incredible set of skills and experience and background. And so each of the Passionate PAs has a specialist skill set as well. So we have a Passionate PA, for example, that is so good at preparing a business for sale. It's a really unique set of skills in doing that due diligence and understanding how on earth you get a business ready for sale. It's normally a 2-year project, all of those things. So we have a Passionate PA that specialises in that. We have a Passionate PA that specialises in HR, and she's fully qualified. We have another one that does operations and marketing. My background is marketing. So each one of the Passionate PAs do everything you would expect a Passionate PA to do. And then we have a specialist skill set too that just adds a little sparkle to what we actually do for clients. So we're PAs, but with a lot of extras. That's what I like to say. Cheeky face. But it's good you say that, because I think quite naively, before I started speaking to franchised PA companies, or VAs, some of them call themselves virtual assistants. Yeah, perhaps I was one of those silly people who thought they were just answering phones and maybe managing a diary or something like that. And it sounds like it's a core part of it, but it is a big part of it. But also there's so much else that you offer as well, which is... A lot of VAs will just do call answering and email management and general admin. So that's why we don't call ourselves VAs, because we are much more like to be found face to face with a client doing something to do with their business planning or their strategy or their, growing the business. That's what we, say we do, results and momentum. That's what we offer. It's not just general admin. So there's a really big difference. And honestly, the term VA gets such a crazy press these days because it doesn't really mean anything. Virtual and assistant, you could be anything in the world to anybody, couldn't you? So it's really hard as a business owner or as a client, potential client, to understand what we all do. I totally get that. But yeah, that's passionate PAs are different and pretty unique because none of us are, we're all overqualified for the job, if you see what I mean, or overqualified for what it says on the tin. But we have to be because we're business owners, and we have to be because, franchising's not the easiest thing in the world to do. You are essentially running a business under another brand. You have to be more than just an administrator to do that. And I say just in inverted commas, a lot of people are very happy being administrators, but we are not. And that's, the brand is just a cheeky sense of who we are, which is essentially PAs get things done and we do that. And it doesn't matter what it is that we're asked to do, really, as long as it's not illegal or immoral, we'll do anything. And I have been asked. I was going to say, have
you been asked anything? Yeah, that's dodgy.
Yeah, oh, just God.
I don't want to dig any deeper. I don't want to embarrass you or put you in an awkward.
I'll tell you one of them. The best one was a client I'd sort of been working with for a while, and he rang me up and he said, "Kate, I need a research project done. It's a bit hush-hush." And he was very posh. And I was like, "Oh, okay, what is it?" And he's like, "I need you to research how you break into a BMW, whatever series it was." I was like, "You need me to research how to break into a car? So I'm going to have that on my search history." Really? What for? "Oh, I've locked my keys in there." "Oh, really? Why don't you just ring the AA or something?" Like, "Well, I can't do that. So will you do it for me?" I was like, "No, there's obviously something really dodgy going on here. And I'm definitely not going to do it." So all sorts of crazy things we get asked, but they're not always illegal and immoral.
No, of course not.
Random things. No.
There's probably a market out there for that, maybe, from the sounds of it, but
it definitely is, but it's not us.
No, not at all. But okay, so you mentioned franchise there. So obviously the Passionate PA is a franchise. It sounds like in the early days when you were working with Sarah, it wasn't a franchise at that time. So
no intention to franchise the business. I don't even think she knew what it was. I didn't know what it was when I started on my Passionate PA journey. It came out of the blue, really. So after I'd taken the reins of the Passionate PA, I used to get inundated with people saying, "Oh my gosh, how are you making such a success of this? How have you created a brand around a business like this? What the hell are you doing right?" And they wanted me to give away the information. And naively, Ed, I did. For a very long time, I gave away all sorts of information and my time for free and all of those lovely things that people do at the beginning of their business journey. And then I explored the idea of employing people. I had 2 employees at one point. It was lovely, but I don't like that level of people management. It drives me nuts. So that didn't really go according to plan. And then we lost the biggest client that we were working on, that the employees were working on. And what was a terrible time actually turned out to be a good good twist of fate. And then I explored having associates, which is what normally happens in the VA world. There's one sort of head VA, and then they have lots of associates that are not really franchisees, they're not really employees, they just got a contract between them. I explored that for a bit, decided that wasn't for me. There wasn't enough control over how the brand would be portrayed to the outside world. And then I was at a networking event, and a random solicitor, who I can't even remember who it is now, just happened to mention franchising or licensing. So there's 2 different things, franchising or licensing. And why didn't I explore that? And it was like, this brainwave moment of, yes, why don't I explore that? And so I went off and, researched both of them and decided franchising was more what I wanted to do, the business in a box model, that it was, somebody's whole career and they were off doing that. So started down that road and just decided that if it took me 10 years to do it, that was fine. And if it took me 10 months, that was fine as well. It was never going to take me 10 months to franchise my business, looking back, in all honesty. But it's been an incredible journey, but not without its pitfalls. But it's been good fun. The franchising world is not what it looks like from the outside is all I would say, really. It's, you know, at the beginning I thought it was very male orientated. I thought it was quite old school in their approach to business and human beings and relationships and things, because I had no clue what was going on the inside. And then actually, once you delve a little bit deeper and find the smaller franchises in the UK, as I'm sure you are doing now already, you actually realise there's some incredible people behind franchises in the UK and some incredible success stories. Sure, there's a few, you know, really sad stories as well where it hasn't worked out. But for every sad story, there's 100 good stories. So it's a wonderful sector to be part of. Absolutely wonderful. I'm very happy I ended up in it now.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely. But I think your initial thoughts are thoughts that most people have that aren't in the industry. And I wondered if you know why you had those thoughts about the industry, why you thought it was very male dominated and perhaps not for everybody.
It's a very interesting question, Ed. I've never actually thought about why I thought like that. I think my initial exposure to it. So I had a client who was franchising her business, a big swim school, and all of her advisors were men in their 50s, you know, who were still wearing grey suits and looking a bit tired around the edges, dare I say it, and didn't quite have as much sparkle as I like to work with. So I think that was my very blinkered exposure to the industry, was that lady's experience of business advisors, as franchise advisors, and I think I'd sort of dabbled with what the BFA were, and back then they didn't quite have the sense of what they are now at all, and Pips sure as hell wasn't at the helm back then. So I think I'd looked at what the big franchise sector was and just went, oh, that's not really for me, I'm going to do it my way, which I did do for a really long time. I didn't get involved with the BFA, I didn't get involved with EWIF or any of the associations that are, you know, really great for our industry. I didn't, because I just thought they weren't for me, because I was a woman in my, you know, early 30s back then, and really trying to run a different kind of business. It wasn't just about profit, it was about people, and that felt like that wasn't coming across in anybody else's messaging the way I wanted it to in my business. So I just did my own thing for a bit. Just got the best lawyer I could afford, and, you know, asked him how I really should put it together. And then I got an amazing mentor as well, completely by accident. He's been in the franchise industry for I was going to say 100 years, but he'll kill me, so probably for 40 years. So on the surface, he looks like one of those old men in suits, but he never comes across like that. He's one of the greatest men I've ever met in my life. And he's just been a real guiding light for how to do franchising ethically and, you know, with my whole heart, which is how I like to live my entire life. I've just found my own way with it, really, without any of the guidance of, you know, the big gurus out there. There's not to say that they have a place. They absolutely do have a place. But for me, I didn't have that budget. I had to learn my own way of doing it, because otherwise it was, you know, I just didn't have the money to throw at that sort of growth. So I didn't do it that way. I did it my way, by researching and working it out and finding the right answer.
I get the feeling you probably wouldn't have enjoyed going down the kind of, perhaps it's a bit unfair to say, templated route, but, you know, typically with consultants, they've got a process that they help people to follow, right? That's, I think, fair to say. But you seem like the sort of person who wants to carve out their own path. And
are you calling me a maverick, Ed? Are you?
I never said the maverick. No, just creative.
Creative is probably a better word for it. I definitely am. And my business mentor, Ian, he's never wanted me to follow a particular process, which actually, looking back, you know, you saying that is actually a really good thing, because I wouldn't have followed it. I needed my own time. I was also struggling, like I said a minute ago, with the whole imposter syndrome thing and my own self-confidence, and feeling like, you know, I had a place in the world. I didn't really know I wanted to be a great franchisor. I knew I wanted to grow my little brand, and they were very different things. And now I absolutely know I want to be an amazing franchisor, and I want, you know, a team of very select, awesome people. I'm not out to build a humongous empire like some of the franchises are out there. So I know what I'm doing now, and I know what the purpose of my business is for me as a human being. But at the beginning, I didn't. I was like, no, I've got to do something with this brand, because I can't do it all myself, and we've got clients clients waiting. So that was my initial driver. So yeah, but now it's quite different from that, I suppose. Yeah,
no, that's cool. I only mention it because I see some of that in myself. Like I question myself, could I be a franchisee? And I see other things in my day-to-day life and realize I kind of rebel against rules, not in a really rebellious way, but I just kind of go, no, I think I'm going to do it my way. And yeah, whether it's wrong or right, I'd rather learn.
See, I often think I'd love to be a franchisee. I've really thought about it so many times. And when, my husband thinks, oh, what shall I do after I finish doing what he's doing now, which is an employed role. Hope his employers aren't listening. Would he, but with me on the side, take on a franchise? Because I just think they offer so much opportunity to make money while doing something that you really, really love, and all the hard work has been done for you. I often think that I'd be a brilliant franchisee as long as I really, really liked and respected the franchisor. If I didn't, I would definitely be on the route of, I think we should do this differently now. I think this is all wrong.
I think it depends on the type of franchise for me. I think if I could find one that had a passive income, where I kind of set something up, set up a team and then let them run and kind of manage them, that feels a lot easier and more comfortable to follow the set of rules.
Yeah, there are plenty of those kind of franchises out there. Definitely. My very first pilot franchisee actually has gone on to do one of those. So Dominique was my first franchisee. Amazing lady. She was a PA for a famous chocolatier and then wanted to go freelance. So she joined me and we had this whirlwind 3 years of working out what the hell the Passionate PA was as a franchise. And she loved it. We had great fun. She's now bringing up 3 children. So she really doesn't have time to do a business that is, focused on selling time, essentially. But her and her husband have bought another franchise that is essentially building a passive income and just managing a team. And that works perfectly for them with a young family and stuff. It's definitely an option. Definitely.
Yeah.
Just about finding the right franchise, isn't it? And there's so many out there. There's so many.
Yeah, exactly. So for the Passionate PA, you're obviously not out there trying to get in 10 per year and generate big numbers and things like that. So you're probably quite selective, I guess, especially if in the early days you had people knocking on your door. I guess you'd still have people kind of nowadays, wanting to find out how you're creating that success. So who do you tend to look for in terms of their personality and skill sets?
Okay, great question. So yeah, we still do have people knocking on our door, and they are the people that don't even have the ability to go and look at our website and find out who it is we're looking for. They're those sorts of people. So obviously I'm very nice to them and I send them my best wishes, but they're not the people we're looking for. So I'm looking for people that are incredibly dedicated to business and to helping other businesses grow with the skills that they have. So they might be traditional PAs, they might be project managers, they might be professionals, so have got to a certain point in their career, but they know they can't get any further than that because they've got young children at home, they can't put in the hours, or they've got just this sense of this 9 to 5 working environment isn't for them anymore, and they don't want to live like that. So there's a lot of people that are at that point in their career where they've just gone, oh God, is this it? It's almost like, is this it? Is the question that they all ask, and then they go, no, I need to find something else. And 9 times out of 10, the best franchisees find us by accident, because they are looking for something else, but they're not necessarily looking for a franchise, and they're not necessarily looking for a PA franchise. They're looking for a role that will allow them to be everything they want to be with a trusted and respected brand behind them. And that's really the sorts of people we're looking for.
So a question I have to ask you, because I follow you on LinkedIn and see you absolutely everywhere smiling. Like you said earlier, maybe it should be your brand. So I wanted to find out what makes you actually happy in your day-to-day role and general in life, I guess. Why are you smiling so much? That's what I'm saying.
Happy. What makes me happy? Okay. My 2 Labradors make me very happy. I'm a bit of a dog freak, so I love my girls. They're amazing. What makes me happy? Helping other people build really, really fulfilling careers makes me really happy. I love it when, a franchisee starts with me and they're investing money and they feel really nervous about that, and they don't know how long it's going to take them to make that money back. And then, 3 months in, they go, oh, this is kind of working. And then a year in, they're like, Kate, I've got this nailed. But then at 2 years in, they're like, holy cheese, I did not know this was going to be possible. Like, we've just had, for example, a franchisee who was once saying to me, oh, I'm never going to get to the £2,500 a month turnover mark. This is really, really hard, Kate. Oh my God, it's really, really hard. Oh my God, it's so hard. And then just last month, she smashed nearly £5,500. And it was just
Awesome.
you know what, you can do this. You really, and I love seeing that journey of people really just becoming everything they ever wanted to be, and that confidence level coming through is just beautiful. It's lovely. It's the best part of my role, is seeing other people flourish, for sure.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's really good. Well, keep going with the smiling and the energy, enthusiasm for helping others, because I think that's a really good and nice thing to do. And yeah, hopefully they're all smiling as well. Perhaps I should go look at their profiles and make sure they are.
Mostly they are.
Keep the brand going.
No, we all have our moments. Don't we? But yeah, they are. They're all very happy. We have a monthly newsletter that goes out internally, so everybody puts their bit in there about what's happening in their business. And this month it was just positivity galore and optimism as well. So we've all been through a pandemic and it's been tough, and some clients have had a really hard time and some have not had a hard time at all. In fact, it's been the making of them, and all of our passionate PAs have experienced that with their clients. So we've been on a real roller coaster over the last 18 months like everyone else, but this month it all just seemed to come together. Everybody had something positive to say, and so yeah, there's definitely happiness amongst the team, Ed. I'm sure there is.
Awesome. And you're right. I think over the last 18 months or so, it's been weird, hasn't it? You think it would have a negative impact on everybody, but actually it's this up and down roller coaster for most companies, some struggling more than others and some absolutely flying. And it's interesting that your business has kind of followed that ebb and flow as well in many ways, or the business for the passionate PA. And there's light at the end of the tunnel, I guess, is what everyone's seeing, and that really helps. That's really nice to hear. So I'm going to move on to some of my more usual questions now, and I want to find out if you've got any funny, strange, or weird stories in your time, either with the passionate PA or before that in your career, maybe.
Interesting one. Weird stories. Apart from how do you break into a BMW? That wasn't weird enough, right?
Well, yes.
Funny or weird? Okay, so one of the most interesting jobs I've ever done as a passionate PA was being asked to go and do a 2.5-week stint out in Antigua for one of their sister businesses.
Nice.
So that was interesting. It was a family-run business, so I was living in the family house. I was working in the family business. It was all a bit strange, to say the least, because they're not your own family, and they were all health freaks. I'm not a health freak by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I would rather be eating cake than anything else in the world. So yeah, that was an interesting time for me. It was amazing. I mean, obviously working out in Antigua doing, being a freelance PA is just an incredible opportunity. So that was good fun. What else have I done? Fun. And one of my very, very early work experience moments was trying to get pizza delivered to a car on a motorway, a moving car on a motorway. What? That was fun.
This for Lawrence.
Yeah, exactly. Without all the tools that we have today, like Deliveroo and everything, it was like you had to ring up and speak to a pizza company that was going to be close to where you were going to be driving past in 20 minutes. So that was fun. Achieved it as well. It was all good.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's definitely impressive.
So many random things. I mean, I think, funny, weird or strange is an odd description, but I guess some of my best moments in my career have been moments where I've seen my clients, so passionate PA career, where I've seen my clients realize their dreams because of things we've been doing together. So there's so many, but one that always rings true for me is I started working with a tech startup. A lady had designed a piece of software in her head, Ed, in her head. She'd created software, she'd got it made, and she was just like, I'm doing everything myself, Kate. I need you to come in, run the back office where I go out on the road and I sell this bloody things to pubs and restaurants and cafes and blah, blah, across the country. And so we did that as a power team, the two of us, for like 1.5 years before she had the money to recruit people and before she, got investment and, angel investors and all of those sorts of things. And it's just being part of that story is incredible. It's so rewarding to see someone else's dream come true because of the effort and the time and the energy and the dedication you've got for their business. It's really exciting. So yeah, all sorts of funny stories. I could go on. I've got hundreds of funny stories. There's one every bloody day in the Passionate PA if you ask the whole team. We've got some incredible stories of we call it training your client, not training your dragon, training your client, but they're probably not for the open airways, as it were. How to train your client. I'm thinking about writing a novel one day about that.
It's probably a good idea of client management, isn't it? That's a massive piece of client management is training the client how to think about your service in the right way. And really important. But I love those stories.
Not to misbehave. How to teach clients not to misbehave is it's a really big deal, but clients don't realize they're misbehaving unless you tell them they're misbehaving. A bit like children, you have to tell them what the guidelines are and where they should walk within the guidelines. And some clients are repeat offenders. They have to be told off. Nicely.
Brilliant. So I feel like there's loads of stories that you've got. So I'm going to go on to the next question and find out what kind of inspirational stories you've got, or your proudest moments. Either of those would be good.
Oh, both good questions. Inspirational stories. I think I get told a lot that the story of how the Passionate PA started and how we've gone into franchising is other people tell me that's inspirational. And it took me a long time to own that as a story, I think, and really believe that there was something in that for other people to learn from and take. And so, I guess that proud moment is realizing that I've worked bloody hard to create that, and really, really proud to see so many other incredible women at the moment who are passionate PAs taking on that mantle and using that as their own. Sarah would be incredibly proud of that, and I think I am as well. So that's probably my proudest story. In terms of inspirational, there's so many. Like I said a minute ago, I've worked with so many inspirational entrepreneurs who have just taken nothing, literally an idea they've had in their head, and turned it into a business that is rewarding and fulfilling and profitable and employing people and all of those things. And it's just such a privilege to be part of that. But also, some of the business owners often become our friends as well, don't they? And some of those clients that I've had in the past are now my best friends. And when you see them exit their businesses as well, that's an incredibly inspirational story. When they've gone from nothing, they've built it up, they've had all of that roller coaster journey in the middle, and then they get to the whole exit and they go off to be yoga teachers, or stand around on a golf course, or whatever it is that sets their heart alight. That it's just nice. It's lovely to be part of that. It's lovely to have been part of their success story. So that's probably, there's loads of proud moments, Ed. I've got loads of lovely client stories because I've spent 10 years doing it. It's a really hard thing to spend 10 years in something and not have a proud moment, isn't it? I think that's a little bit hard, actually.
It's awesome. It sounds like you've really enjoyed your journey despite all the kind of ups and downs that are there along the way, and it's really nice to hear. So hopefully some other people listening to this get some inspiration from that. And before I let you go, one final question, and that's just around that franchising piece. So if anybody's looking to buy a franchise, whether it's yours or any other, what would be your one piece of advice to them?
Oh, love that question too. It's like you've done this before, Ed. Okay, so my one piece of advice would be, don't take your advice from people you don't admire, because I think when you start using the word franchise around your family and friends, if they don't understand what it is, they can get very nervous for you, and rightly so. They love you, don't they? They're trying to protect you, but you're taking business advice essentially from your mum or your dad or your nan or your friend from down the pub or whatever, and they don't understand the model of franchising. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, is it like multi-level marketing and all that? And it's like, oh my God, you could not be further from the truth. Like, stop. Don't listen to those people. So get your advice and your understanding from people that have been there and done it. There are plenty of people out there that will give you their time for free. I am one of them. If anybody's thinking, oh my God, like, is franchising for me? And you just want a really, impartial view of what franchising is right now, I will give you that, because I'm not, it's not my job to say, oh, you should be a passionate PA. It's just not, it's not what I do with my life. So yeah, it's really take advice from people that you admire. But can I have a second piece of advice, Ed?
Oh,
Sorry.
go on then. Go on.
My second piece of advice is, don't ever have a plan B, because when you have your plan A, I'm going to go to this franchise and be a franchisee and it's going to be great. If you have a plan B, which is, oh, if it doesn't work out, I'll just pay the exit fees and then go and get a job. If you have that, you'll end up doing that, because your psychology will just allow you to have that plan B as your plan A, because that's what our brains do for us. So I would never have a plan B for anything. Have a plan A and go at it like hell until you've actually achieved it. That would be my second piece of advice. Definitely. It's my own business advice. I never have a plan B ever.
Awesome. I'm glad I let you have that second bit of advice, because I think that was better than the first one for me. So
rubbish. I should have led with that one.
Yeah, no. Yeah. People will take it in different ways, won't they? But that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us, Kate. It's been really a fun conversation for me. I've really enjoyed it. I've loved hearing all your stories, and I love your business even more now because I've learned about it and yourself. So thank you for sharing that with us, and have a great day. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Ed. Thank you.
No worries, Kate. Take care. Bye.
Bye.